Early morning on the flight line at Bagram Airfield, and a flight crew is getting ready to go. Bagram is the main supply base for the military in northern Afghanistan. Cargo is loaded on the big CH-47 Chinooks, the Army's powerful workhorse in Afghanistan. Other helicopters spool up and move out. Our big Chinook climbs into the air. The nose points northeast towards Kunar Province, near the Pakistan border. It's one of the most unstable regions of Afghanistan, right across the border from insurgent strongholds in Pakistan. We fly through the mountains along the deep valleys cut by rivers, with many small villages passing beneath us. Our two-man reporting team is going to the Pech Valley in Kunar Province. For a week, we will move between U.S. Army camps dotted along the valley floor. We fly to Kunar and land at another base just outside the valley, and take a convoy of MRAP armored vehicles and Humvees to our first destination inside the valley. The Pesh Valley is a notorious place that until last year was isolated, with many small villages that resisted the influence of the Kabul government and the Americans. That's changing now, and as security improves, the villagers sign on with the government, but it's only happening in the main Pesh Valley. The side valleys are still unstable and violent. We reach a base named Able, Maine, where a company of soldiers lives. For them, this is home for a year. Here we will see what it's like as the soldiers hold the line against the Taliban by trying to win the hearts and minds of the villagers. It is not an easy place to live. Soldiers of Able Company 126 Infantry at their base camp named Able, Maine. This is the heart of the Pech Valley. A few minutes before, insurgents attacked the base with rockets and machine guns. The attack was disrupted by incoming helicopters and fire from the Americans. Some insurgents were killed and the rest hid. The soldiers turned from the hunted to the hunters and try to hit the remaining insurgents who are hiding on the slope.
I'd say if they're going to do anything, they're going to stay in their holes until nightfall, and they're going to try and reorganize and hit us again at dawn, because that's going to be it.
As they fled, the insurgents dropped a number of mortar rounds on the slope of the ridge above Able, Maine camp, which is located at the bottom of the valley. The soldiers fire mortars to try to destroy the insurgents' munitions. It's easier than walking up the slope and destroying them by hand. The helicopters return again and again to see if the munitions lying out in the open are destroyed and to see if the insurgents have shown themselves. They could be hiding anywhere in the rocks. As the mortars prepare to fire again, the soldiers suddenly spot movement up on the ridgeline. Lacking a firm identification, they quickly call off the mortars.
Hold on, stand by. Stand by. Hold on. We got packs. Close combat, here's what I want to do. That mortar cache is not going to go in here for a second. I got eyes on the packs right now. I'm looking at them myself. Break. I can walk you in from the ANAOP.
Here in the Pesh, villages line the slopes of the valley. The distant figures on the hill could be goat herders, or they could be insurgents, or they could be insurgents trying to look like the local people. The soldiers try to figure it out.
See that big square rock right there? He should be coming out to the right of that here in just a second. Okay, I got him now. They in the draw?
No, not yet.
Okay.
They are above it.
Getting this wrong could cause innocent people to be hit and set back efforts to bring the villagers onto the government side.
They're right here in front of us. Okay, hey, check it out. You see the prominent white rock? Sorry, the rock with the white splash on it? Okay, they're on that rock. First shot, can I see your contact from it? Too easy.
Helicopters circle, trying to help identify the figures.
You go walk yourself left.
Yes.
There's a rock, big rock in the sun.
Yes.
The one in black looks like the younger version.
Okay, I got
How far they move?
I got it.
Will? I got more packs walking up to the left right here too.
In the end, the soldiers decide the figures are ordinary farmers. Once the area is clear, they call in heavier artillery to destroy the munitions lying in the open to complete the job the mortars at Able, Maine began.
Slow as artillery.
Oh.
As night falls, the soldiers call it quits. The attack was disrupted, but fights like this happen up and down the valley several times a week. The insurgents seldom dare to descend to the valley floor where the Americans are strong. They prefer to fire from the slopes high above. They don't return that night. In the Pesh, oftentimes troops are in contact in so-called ticks. Today's attack is just one of dozens of similar incidents the troops will experience here. The soldiers' lives are consumed by an endless round of ticks and patrols looking for an elusive enemy who constantly tries to gain the advantage. The next day, the soldiers of Able Company assemble for a briefing before they head out on foot patrol. The platoon's lieutenant, Steve Benedetti, tells the men which village they're visiting and what to look out for.
Okay, our tactical task can be movement to contact in order to deny enemy freedom of maneuver and assess atmospherics in the village of Kuzmani.
Insurgents of the Taliban and other groups, such as the Haqqani network, routinely cross from sanctuaries in Pakistan that lie only about 15 miles east of this area. To stop them intimidating people in the villages, soldiers will walk to nearby settlements and talk to the elders, looking for signs of trouble.
Kerbaz, housing about 8 foreign fighters. Man with some sort of suicide vest, kind of new to the valley, pretty cool. Go ahead and take a look for those sort of things, okay, as we're moving today. The suicide vest is obviously kind of something new we haven't seen in the area recently, but something we're always been checking for anyway. Just be prepared for that.
To fend off any ambush, the soldiers take a mortar and machine guns. They push out the gate and down the main road that follows the valley bottom. Artillery rumbles in the hills. The fire hits known insurgent assembly positions. It's meant to disrupt any surprise attack on the relatively vulnerable dismounted soldiers moving out in the open. Insurgents live high up in the hills. Some come from Pakistan, but some are local. It's likely they can watch the soldiers as they walk lower down inside the valley. The Pesh was for years one of the worst areas in the country, and it's still unstable. When the Afghan government and the Americans built bases and paved the valley road, insurgents were pushed out of the low areas. But the militants still visit houses and leave threatening letters at night, trying to regain their influence by appearing powerful and able to mount attacks at will. The soldiers walk toward the nearest village located halfway up the valley side. They set up their mortar at the village. They also put out security.
Start rich. Yeah, all the way up on the far side of that far rock right there. Okay, set in our highest position over there. We're going to be conducting the KLE down here, okay?
All right,
Make sure we got 360 around there. We got the snipers up over there. They'll be able to overwatch Redskins from the backside.
I'll put 240 up there.
Okay.
All right, go.
After the attack on the base down in the valley yesterday called Able, Maine, the soldiers come up here to this village. They're here talking with the village elders, making sure that they pull security. There's snipers around here as well as a mortar position, but they just want to talk to the village and find out exactly what the village knows about the attack and whether it can be prevented again.
There, so we just want to make sure all the villagers are doing okay. Try to get a sense of the villages leaning towards us, whether they're favorable or not. So far, this village has been pretty favorable in terms of their opinion of coalition forces. But after a big attack, we like to come in and make sure that no one was injured and that everyone's doing well. See if they saw anything or they can add to what we already know about the situation.
All right. And how far from the fog is this village?
This one's probably only about a click, about 1,200 meters away. One of the closer villages, easier to maintain relations with, which is good. Some of the villages can really be interesting to get to, as you can see the terrain and everything around here. So, Roger, sir. Yeah.
The soldiers talk about the attack on their base and reassure the villagers that no American was hurt and the incoming fire was ineffective. These men are friendly, and the soldiers want to be sure they see that the Americans are stronger than the insurgents inside the valley.
Tell them the enemy was on both sides yesterday.
What's important is to say is the dushman, didn't affect us at all. The enemy was, unable to do anything. They were, poor effort. We were able to return fire very effectively. And I think we got most of the guys that were shooting at us.
This village here in the Pech Valley is pretty typical. It's sort of clinging to the hillside here. The farther up the side valleys you go, the less villages there are, and the more the influence of the insurgents increases. The soldiers also talk to the villagers about bringing new development projects to the local farmers. The soldiers say that if they help the locals will help them fight the insurgents. Then they wrap up and head back.
Okay. Let's go.
6 Romeo. You good? All right.
While walking, the men keep a sharp eye out for ambushes. An hour later, they reach the camp. They'll have more villages to visit tomorrow. A tour of duty is 15 months, so time can seem like one endless Groundhog Day for these soldiers of the 1st Infantry Division.
I like patterns.
Soldiers at Able Main Base push out on patrol. It's 2 days after the latest rocket attack, and they want to visit a couple of villages to reassure the locals that the attack was just an annoyance and nothing major. Hills loom high on each side of the valley. They pause as they cross a river to check a pickup truck by the bridge.
You guys have a good day, okay?
The insurgents don't generally spend much time on the floor of the Pesh Valley. They stay higher in the hills and side valleys, but the soldiers take no chances. As the soldiers approach the first village, they pause. A scout section will push higher up the valley side in case the insurgents have a surprise ambush waiting for the patrol.
But we're static right now. I'll go ahead and relay grid in the next few mics.
Roger, understand, static at dog, and then you're going to head off to Cornwall after the KLE, over.
Roger that. I'll pass up grid here shortly.
A&L's been kind of messed up too.
We're currently we're sitting in using our scout teams with their sniper rifle, putting them in an overwatch position so that when we're down in the village, we're able to have kind of a set of eyes and ears that are a little bit further away in order to give us a little bit of standoff if these guys kind of move in from some of the high ground around us. But kind of gives us the freedom to maneuver down here in the village and talk to the people, knowing that we got these guys with a weapon that can reach out and touch people. If you look at the terrain, takeaway from this place is basically that these guys have a million places to hide. You can be fired upon effectively and not have any clue where they're at. So having that set of eyes up there to really identify where the fire is coming from allows you to quickly fix the enemy with, mortars and artillery. All right, attention all, let's go ahead and pick up. Continue to move into dog, conduct KLE.
The Americans push into the village. It's a small collection of houses on a slope, a few feet higher than the fields and river below. The elders gather and they sit down next to a running water course to have a chat. The subject, the recent rocket attack on the U.S. base. The American troops explain they fired back to disperse the insurgents.
Fired a lot of artillery and a lot of mortars and dropped a few bombs as well. I was curious if you guys saw or heard any of that. I'm sure you did.
The idea of being inside this village is to see how the locals are doing. The lieutenant's talking to the elders about both what they need in terms of new wells and new improvements to the fields, but also just to let the locals know that that rocket attack a couple of days ago did not affect the American soldiers around here, and contrary to what the insurgents are saying, that 4 soldiers were killed, no casualties were done whatsoever.
Most of the fighting came from the north. So not really, shouldn't really have affected your area, but we want to let you know that, you know, all of our guys are okay and that the enemy had no effect on what we were doing at all.
Says we heard the bombs and everything, the rounds which was going off, and but we were not in the village. He said we were working on the road.
The elders claim they're on the government side and promise to inform on the insurgents.
He said definitely, so whatever, if we saw anything suspicious or anything like that, we will tell you guys, because we are with the government. It's not that only the government is supposed to bring security, it's the local job too, it's the people's job too, to help themselves out for the peace.
Suddenly a boom echoes across the valley. The soldiers try to figure out what's going on.
All of the guys that we're trying to figure it out right now. Over.
Hey, 26 Romeo, right now I got one plume of smoke. I'm going to get my finals out. It might be that village up there burning, but I'm going to start scanning that area.
Roger, are you talking about to the north? Over.
Roger, to the north, just on the other side of Redskins there.
The boom turns out to be just the sound of blasting on a nearby road the Americans are paying to have rebuilt. In the Pech Valley, no one ever takes anything for granted.
Villagers are saying they're building a road just to our east, just east of our location, and they're pretty confident that's what it was, just some rocks being blown. But just stay vigilant because we're not 100% sure on that. Over.
The Americans finish the meeting and get set to move out to the next village. The village kids who are hanging around the soldiers make one last appeal for a handout before they go. Winning hearts and minds can never start too young.
Biscuits and pins.
Yeah,
biscuits and pins. And money.
Hey, money?
Uh-huh. Yeah, man, I'm holding out.
Come on.
All right. Come on. See you later.
What are they asking for, Mr. Alston?
They're asking for pins and biscuits. It's a popular thing around here. We usually just give them pins. Because biscuits, I guess, are cookies, and they don't carry those around.
The soldiers push down the valley farther away from their own camp. Artillery can blanket this whole area if they get into trouble, but they prefer to move cautiously. Again, the scouts are pushed well ahead and above the body of the patrol before they move into the next village. Everyone waits while they climb ahead.
Okay, cool, man. We're going to move simultaneously. Just let us know when you're set.
While they're waiting, they reflect that the last meeting did not go all that well. The elders were standoffish.
The normal Afghan...
Like yesterday.
Yeah, the normal Afghan village is like going out of their way, whether you want it or not, to be hospitable. And they were, I don't know, somewhere in between. The feel isn't what it normally is. They usually want to take you into an area that they're proud of, not next to, you know, their running water source and just have a seat on the ground, you know. Normally they're all about bringing you into a common area that they think is presentable and is nice. And that's not the feel I got from that village. So I don't know if that was just a function of they were moving from prayer time and they had a lot of stuff to do. May very well be, but I've had that experience a few times in that village. So so we'll see what kind of reporting comes out of there. It's kind of pretty up here though. Beautiful place. Hey, 22 Alpha 26. Hey, 22, go ahead and we'll go ahead and push into the village time now. Just use that, you'll see when you come around the bend here, there'll be a rock wall that runs almost all the way to the village. Keep the guys up against that as you're moving through here. We're going to have the scouts up in Overwatch, but we're going to move simultaneously and they'll cover our movement, cover us during the KLE as well.
As they walk, they come across an elder from the village. The man tells Lieutenant Benedetti that some agents of the Taliban are trying to stir up trouble in the villages.
He's saying that those kind of stuff, and he says like,
Where are these guys from? From where?
They are from the same village, but before they were with Taliban, and they're like going back and forth. One day they're in Safari, the other day they're somewhere else, and then they're here. He said they're like that. Yeah.
So basically what's going on, we've got an NGO, non-governmental organizations, building a road up to Karmul, the village we're going to be going into here shortly. This guy is giving us some information suggesting there's 3 or 4 individuals from the surrounding villages that are threatening the workers who are building this road, saying that the road is built with infidel money, and we're just trying to get some information from him as to who that is and why they might be threatening these guys. So oftentimes you get some of your best information and, you know, walking from place to place, running into people and striking up a conversation, and you end up coming upon stuff more often than not. So it's kind of just keeping your ear to the ground. Really helps in these situations. This may, you know, lead into a connection to someone else who's connected to, you know, a sub-commander in the area, and that oftentimes these sort of interactions really yield dividends for us.
So is it kind of unusual to have someone actually be willing to like talk to you guys about, you know, like some of the bad guys around here, or not too bad?
No, not necessarily. I mean, this specific individual is an elder from a surrounding village who we work with, you know, from time to time. He just happened to be walking by, and we build a rapport with him to the point where he's pretty comfortable talking to us. It depends. Like when we have him out here by himself, you know, they're obviously more willing to talk. They're not really fearing, you know, the other elders who might be involved with some other AAF forces. So he's more willing to kind of talk to us in a concealed area out here by himself. Have a good day. It's a good thing when we run into people that are willing to provide us with some information. They care about their own safety, and they care about coalition forces, because I think most people here believe we're doing a good thing for them. It's just that a small percentage of the population that hasn't bought on or bought into what we're doing.
Lieutenant Benedetti spreads the word to his men that Taliban sympathizers are operating in the area before they finish moving to the next village.
Anti-coalition forces that might be holed up here in Cornwall. So just make sure you guys are scanning, see if you get any movement in the high ground, if there's anybody moving in the position. Are the kids in school right now?
No, because they go only in the morning session, so we don't have.
Does it mind if we go right in there?
No.
The elders are much more friendly here, and they make the soldiers comfortable.
Thank you.
Oh, he says thanks a lot.
Very good, thank you. What was the word I taught you last time? You remember? Ask him.
We come last year the Tamaka for the
What's up, dude? I'm trying to shake your hand, sir. What was it?
Samana.
What's up, dude? Senge we are.
What's up, dude? Yeah, he's got it.
The idea is by having shuras like this, where you're speaking with the villagers, is to get the support of the villagers. They find out whether they need roads or wells or things like that. Without the support of these locals, counterinsurgency in this valley isn't going to get very far.
Do these guys have something they want to talk to us about? Ask them that.
You got a really cool hat, dude. Wish I had that hat.
Meanwhile, dotted around the village, the soldiers are getting along pretty well with the kids, even as they watch for the enemy.
What's your name? You've been asking me my name for the past 10 minutes.
Your name?
No, your name.
Yahya. Y-A-H-Y-A. Yahya.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. That's pretty cool. How about his?
You.
Ruhala?
Ruhala.
Cool. Okay. Gotta watch them out for Taliban.
No Taliban.
I'm sure they're around here somewhere.
Dog is the shade, bro.
So what are these guys like anyway?
What do you mean?
So are they always pretty friendly or it depends?
It usually depends. Most towns are usually pretty friendly to us. But there are some of these towns that we've never been to that, like when we first come to, they're not very friendly to us all. They're really shy.
What is
Kids
this?
usually come up to us always asking us.
What is this?
Corn.
Cont?
Corn. It's really cool when you pop it. It turns into popcorn.
Spelling cont.
Corn? You want to spell it? C-R-O-N. Wait,
C-R-O-N.
no. O-R-N.
Corn.
C-O-R-N is actually how you say it.
Corn.
Corn. C-O-R-N.
C-O-R-N.
C-O-R-N. Corn.
Eventually the soldiers wrap up the meeting and head back to base. This visit was a success, and they'll come back in a week or so. Their main goal is to keep in touch with the villagers, get information, and show they care. The fight against the Taliban is a slow one, with small steps, each time gaining more trust from the populace. It all makes for a long day of carrying heavy gear around the valley, with progress almost invisible, but nonetheless real.
Same formation. Make sure you keep your fucking intervals 5 meters between men. Alright? We ready? Let's go.
Another morning comes, this time at a base a couple of miles farther down the valley at a small camp named Honaker-Miracle. Here, too, a platoon of soldiers from Able Company heads out on patrol. They also aim to keep out the Taliban and foster good relations with the locals. That means days spent walking up into the hills that line the Pesh River, looking for signs of the enemy. The hillsides here are pretty high, and they're also pretty rough to get up and also to get back down. And because they're so rough, they make a pretty good place for insurgents to hide, whether they want to fire weapons down into the village or simply hide out and observe what's going on in the valley. The soldiers are in charge of the eastern sector of the Pech Valley and a side valley named the Mortar. To stop the insurgents filtering in, the soldiers patrol through local villages and consult with the Afghan National Police.
He thinks before the Shura, come in here and we'll talk about some issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
What issue?
Then they begin a long trudge up into the hills. They pass local Afghans who seem to be mostly friendly, though their true loyalties are unknown. Today they'll make sure the insurgents aren't on the higher slopes of the valley. The sun is hot, and the walk up the hills with 70 pounds of gear is no joke. You know, how much of this is secure, and I understand the insurgents like sit on the hills and sort of shell you guys occasionally.
As you can see, there's just a ton of good terrain out here for anyone to take shots at. And from the position we're at right now, you get a great view of the base down there. Definitely small arms range. And then if you look back up over here, we take a lot of fire from on the back side of these hills up here. Really this whole area, and they can just infill almost at will. We got optics and stuff, but it's hard for us to spot one guy moving in the hills, so they infill historically at will, and then just take some pop shots. Sometimes coordinate attacks from these spots, and then just break contact once we get good fire on them. All right, Sergeant, you ready?
Do it. Any fucking rappel rope? We're gonna belay this motherfucker on the way down.
Obviously, you guys are up here in the high ground. The villages are down there on the bottom. What's the high ground got to do with the villages? Why are you guys up here instead of down there?
Well, this is where the enemy is, and it's a difficult balance to strike because you know there's not a lot of obviously there's not a lot of people up here. The people are down in the low ground, but the enemy's up here, and they choose to fight up here. This is their backyard. We got to go where they choose to fight us, unfortunately.
3-3 Alpha 3-3. Hey, bring yourself back down here to me. We're your team.
As the soldiers walk up the mountain, they come across something significant. It looks like a boulder with some rocks in front of it, but in fact it's an enemy observation point cleverly disguised. From here the base is clearly visible below.
You've got gear on, but you gotta realize these. Is this a fighting position? They could, but it's probably an OP position, probably.
Yeah, that's a fighting position, Sergeant.
How do we know? They're, if you look at the front,
yeah,
the built-up rock wall right here.
Yeah, I see that.
There's a natural cut, and they put the smaller rocks, and they build up a wall, and there's actual holes. And you look in here.
Yeah, let me look in there.
He actually opened it up, but they had little small rocks blocking it up.
It goes
so
deeper
it
in.
Don't.
With this gear on, you can't get in here. But them, slender guys, it goes up underneath this. I can fit my foot all the way up in there.
Yeah. Do you see any bullets or anything?
I can't get in there.
Yeah.
I would get in there head down.
Well,
but
what I'm about to do is I'm about to break the front down here.
All right, break it down.
Don't just.
It goes up in here, man.
My helmet down there.
And nothing makes them more angry than when we mess up their fighting positions and they know we were here.
What is that?
I've been wanting to leave a note for them for a while, saying, hi, Americans are here.
The little people can stretch out. We couldn't.
Not in this gear.
They put a little mat down there?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they got a perfect line of sight to Honaker-Miracle.
Yeah.
When they crawl in there and put them rocks behind them, it's just hard to get at them.
I can't get effects on them with mortars. Good score.
Who found that?
I did. You did. Here.
So what, they essentially they sit here and do they fire at you guys or observe, or what's the deal?
We don't generally get shot at from over here. A lot of times they'll use them little fighting positions for OP positions to adjust fire. They'll just sit there and watch. They'll watch us all the time.
That's only like a kilometer or two away.
Not even. About K1.5 probably.
What they'll do here, they'll slide this big rock out of the way, and in here, underneath this big rock right here, it's all bedded down. So another man can lay down here with direct line of sight to Honaker-Miracle. And we'd never see him, not in a million years. Even with the advanced optics we have, he can make his shots with a machine gun or sniper rifle and exfil right out the back. And we'd never see him through the line of sight of this rock. So it's pretty tough terrain to spot enemy out here. Never gets any easier. It's the kind of things you can come to expect when you're in somebody else's backyard. So it's a good find. We'll mark it as a grid. Next time we take fire from this area, we can return effective fires.
So what's it like finding something like this?
Man, really out here, you can't spit in one direction without hitting 2 or 3 more fighting positions like these. And with the advantage of having all these fighting positions is it's their choice. They don't have to choose the same fighting position to shoot us from because we'll find it quickly. What they can do is keep us guessing by moving from fighting position to fighting position. And it's definitely a game of cat and mouse. So we just got it. Once we find them, just keep finding them, keep marking them on a grid. And destroying them does no good because they can just stack the rocks back up. So, just leave them and mark them and kind of set up our own ambush from Honaker-Miracle.
If they're sitting up here in these fighting positions, you know, like how difficult is it for you to, you know, to remove them from that?
It's pretty. Honestly, you feel like you're fighting ghosts out here sometimes, just because I've been here for 4 months and I've yet to see an actual fighter. You see muzzle flashes, you hear mortars going up, but you rarely ever see these guys. And as you can see with all this, all these rocks, built up fighting positions, it doesn't matter what ordnance you drop on them. If you don't drop it exactly on their physical location, they're probably going to survive. So it makes it pretty frustrating sometimes, but at the same time, we've had a lot of good effects, with our mortars, calling for fire on these guys, catching them when they're in the open, and taking them out with indirect fire.
Today's trip up the mountain could help the company if it comes under fire when it's back at their base, but it's impossible to control the high ground 24/7. The insurgents can filter in at will.
Definitely feel like you're the tip of the spear out here, and definitely could always use more manpower. I would never turn down extra guys, and definitely in covering a kinetic area like this, yeah. Sometimes you feel like you're on an island, tip of the spear, but the more guys we can get in here controlling a kinetic area like this, the better.
The soldiers make it back to their base, walking through the village and finishing up without incident.
It's definitely rewarding to be doing what we've been trained to do. We're at Fort Hood training most of these guys for about a year and a half. Now we're finally doing it for real, and I know it's fulfilling for them to be out here doing their jobs and doing it well.
Woo. It's hot.
I think these guys have found that they're much more well-trained than they'd ever let themselves believe at Fort Hood. And from that respect, it's been really rewarding. At the same time, obviously it's really difficult to move in around these hills. You got to be real careful not overworking people, not breaking them off. The saying around here is it's a marathon, not a sprint, so you don't want to burn anyone out, which you can do really easily in these hills, obviously. So you got to pace yourself when doing operations like this, and also stay relentlessly optimistic, because it can get frustrating when you don't see who's shooting at you.
Tomorrow will be another patrol a lot like this one, going out all over again.
That's 5 positions, good. Hold on, I think we're
Soldiers at Camp Honaker-Miracle scramble to their battle stations. 3 insurgent mortar rounds have fallen near the camp. The soldiers fire back with machine guns mounted in towers and Humvees. The firing comes and goes in bursts and streams. The soldiers get hit here a lot, often several times a week. They have their battle drills down tight with months of practice. It's days like this that give the Pech Valley its Groundhog Day feel. The soldiers have a pretty good idea where the enemy mortars are coming from and where the enemy forward observer is located. They fire back into the hills, but that doesn't mean it's easy to kill the insurgents, who are likely lying in hard rock hideouts.
2 rounds, 8 sheet, adjust. Shot out, switching to LMR.
Sergeant Adam Goodson coordinates the fire of the American mortars firing back at the enemy.
Splash out.
It's difficult to tell exactly whether the gunfire is incoming or outgoing, but it's all outgoing. The Americans fire mortars back into the hills. The insurgents' own rounds have fallen short, impacting around a nearby Afghan village.
Roger.
Their rounds landed short again in Ludam. They can't be making those people happy.
Pluto, deflection 5670, charge 1, elevation 1036, 2HE, over. Roger, I copy 5670, 1036, charge 1. 2 more coming up. Splash on 1.
We're in contact with the enemy right now. We had some mortar rounds shot at us, and we also have an enemy forward observer out there as well. Just trying to suppress them. Sounds like we've stopped the mortar fire through some suppression, but as of right now, I'm trying to.
Hey, be advised, the D-30's firing. There's something around with the D-30.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're just trying to suppress them, keep them quiet, keep the FO on the run. Roger. Simple as that.
So what's the FO doing? Is directing fire down at your guys?
He's doing the same thing I do. He's just doing it for the wrong team. But I like to think we're a little better than him.
Shot anyone?
Shot out. And I've got a lot more rounds to work with than he does. That ain't the bad guys are goofy. What happened with that mortar round? It hit a rock and ricocheted off, going further down the hill, but it still had good effects. We're using white phosphorus for obscurity. If there is an FO out there, which there is, I want to block his line of sight to me.
Why is that?
Cut their eyes out and they can't see. What's up?
Where's that village located in relation to the switchback roads where that Willie P's bursting?
Oh, the village? Further down. There's one house further up to the east, around the bend over there. Hey, looks good. Stand by.
About how many rounds do you think impacted towards you guys?
Like 3 or 4 rounds. The problem with their mortar is they're just shooting at us from too far away. They're having trouble ranging us.
This guy's supposed to
which
cover
works out
me.
for us.
The Afghan army soldiers on base also fire their D-30 cannon.
That's loud.
9-3-26.
Yeah, Roger. Let me know if how many they plan on shooting.
Hey, I think that's gonna be it because the press of the time.
Yeah, it's a pretty safe assessment that the enemy is suppressed.
So what happens now?
What we do is we stand by in our gear for a little longer just in case they want to come with a second wave. Probably about 30, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour. And then we'll stand down, take your gear off, and just see how it goes. Usually what they do is they'll fire at us a couple rounds and they take off because they know we're going to respond very quickly. And we did. So they're probably already back in their homes right now, drinking chai tea, talking about their victory. Every time they shoot at us, they always think they got us. I don't know why. Keeps their morale up, I guess.
Do they fire machine guns at you guys or not really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I haven't really done it lately. Sometimes they'll get a good team together, machine gun team, and set up them. A lot of times they'll fire at us from the north, but a lot of the activity is starting to build to the south.
How about today?
Today it was just mortars. We think one RPG was shot at us, but max range for an RPG is about 700 meters. As you can see, they're much further than 700 meters away. So what an RPG does, after 700 meters, it self-detonates. So if they don't have the range, it'll just blow up way before it gets to us. You never can get consecutive hours of sleep. I think they know. They got an informant here that tells them when I go to sleep, like, fire now, you're getting some sleep.
What you want to give me up for? Oh, put your stuff on, we got contact. Oh, fuck.
The firing's coming from about half a mile away. It's up about halfway up that ridgeline there. And what they're doing is they're sending grenades and mortars down against this position, but obviously it's difficult for them, being so far away, to get accurate and actually inside of here, which is what they're shooting for. What'll happen now, probably, is they have to get out of here. So whether they get hit by artillery or air power, it's going to be a rough night for the insurgents.
They'll stay in their fighting positions, as y'all saw on the mountains a couple days ago. They can be well hidden and covered extremely from our mortar and artillery fire, and from eyes of the birds, helicopters, and pilots. So they'll wait till we're done firing, usually probably say 30, 45 minutes, and then take off.
We got 155s that could work that backside if we wanted. I prefer to just wait till there's more icon traffic to go off.
I concur.
If you listen closely, you can hear that a bunch of the mosques around here have started to sound off with their loudspeakers. Whether that's part of evening prayers or some connection with this attack, no one really knows, but it's probably not a good sign. After years of operations in this area, the insurgents are still able to mount harassing attacks. Though they rarely attack in force on the ground, the harassing fire makes them seem powerful, and that keeps the villagers in the Pech Valley nervous. After being here in the Pech Valley for a week, it's time to move on. A helicopter will be coming in across the mountains, and then it's on to Bagram and the next assignment. While we're leaving, the soldiers from 126 Infantry still have another year to go in their deployment, trying to win the slow war in the valley, holding the line. Before any peace can reach this valley, more operations will be needed closer to the Pakistani border to seal off the flow of insurgents. But there aren't enough U.S. and Afghan soldiers to do that yet, so this game looks set to continue as the soldiers try to protect the villages as much as they can with the resources they have.